Hello, this is Virtualis the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Early in the week, I played against Magnus Carlson on chess.com. Haha, not really. It was just a player who used a photo of the world champion as their profile picture. I played 2 rapid games, 30-minute games, against my opponent, and these were good fun games. I played well, except where I didn't. And unfortunately for me, that made all the difference. I hope you enjoy. Let's have a quick look at the game. So this is game 1. I played 2 games, as I mentioned. Review first. Started off really well with a commanding lead using the Vienna. And then a silly blunder led me to substantially be worse. Managed to claw back an advantage, and then a second blunder led to equality, and then we finished in a draw. So let's have a look at the analysis. So I played white, so e4, e5, and of course I played the Vienna, knight c3. Opponent played knight c6. I developed my bishop to c4, and the opponent developed their bishop to b4, which, as per Stockfish, that is an inaccuracy, and I'm significantly ahead with that move. I decide to move my queen out with a potential attack on the g7 pawn. The opponent brings out their queen, and even though that's a very natural looking move, again, I am substantially ahead now. And this is part of the Vienna system. It's a tricky system, and natural looking moves by black often leads to a significant advantage for white. The knight to d5, attacking the queen, but also the pawn on c7, which then forks the rook and king. Opponent decides to trade queens. That's generally good for white. As you can see, if I play properly, pretty much I am winning. They capture back, and of course the issue of the knight capture on c7 with the fork of the rook and king is not addressed by the queen trade. Opponent moves to d8, which is the best move. I capture the rook, and that knight is basically out of the picture for the time being. Now, subsequent to this, I'm so excited. I was actually pretty tired in this game. I played this game after a fairly long day at work. I don't play very well after this, and the opponent actually plays reasonably well. So opponent develops their knight forward to d4, so a risk to me of this fork. I thought that maybe I could defend that pawn with the king, and retrospectively, this sets me up for some pain. And yep, I think the computer is right here. Well, of course, Stockfish is always right. Actually retreating the bishop to b3. To defend that pawn, and if the opponent wants to trade, that's actually okay for me, given that I am substantially up. I am substantially up in material, so I should actually be perfectly happy with trading. But no, I wasn't really thinking that clearly, as I was fairly tired. The opponent attacks the bishop with the pawn move. I decide to take that hanging pawn. The opponent now sort of forks my pawn and the knight. And this is a problem, because if they take that pawn, I have some hanging pieces here as well. And this is where I'm having some trouble. So here I have a potential fork of the bishop and knight, and so hanging pieces all over the place. And I was actually finding it difficult to keep track of where things are. Opponent captures a pawn, which is a good move. Here I decided to advance the pawn, and the opponent decides to try to attack that rook. That was not a good move, and I didn't see this until the opponent makes a move. The opponent has the opportunity to put me in check, and then they can capture the rook anyway. So that's what they do. capture, capture. At the moment, I am still substantially ahead on material. Capture, and it's trying to move the king towards to attacking the rook. Sorry, develop the knight. And this was actually a straight out blunder. So when I captured that, I just did some blindness to the long diagonal there. That was purely a blunder. So either I should have moved the bishop to d5 to protect the knight, or even better, to have advanced the e pawn, blocking the opponent's bishop. That was straight out loss, but still, even with the blunder, I'm still significantly ahead. Some more developing moves. And here I make another serious error. All I saw was this, wondering how I was going to protect this thing. And I sort of, in my sort of daze, I thought, look, I'll move my knight out of the way so I could evacuate the rook. Of course, then I'm just hanging, hanging the knight with the rook there. I should have moved to the knight to f3, blocking the advance, blocking the attack for the bishop. So another silly blunder, and now the opponent is substantially ahead. I'm able to move my rook out of the way, but I sort of get put into check, forced to move the king out of the way, and that knight is lost, which is what happened, unfortunately. Here I've managed to capture another sort of hanging pawn. The opponent captures that hanging knight that was in a corner since the original capture. Opponent's significantly ahead now. Captures, they capture, capture, they capture, and starting to crawl back ahead, trying to crawl back ahead, almost equality now. And here I thought I had a chance to potentially advance that pawn to promotion, which would put me significantly ahead. The opponent moves their rook to the e file, potentially capturing, and it looks like there's a fork. But what I calculated was that they probably couldn't prevent promotion, because what I saw is if I advanced the pawn forward to the 7th rank, if the opponent decided to just call it quits, capture with the knight, of course, I captured back with my knight, now protecting that pawn. Alternatively, if the opponent captured the pawn with the rook, so my next move, yep, if the opponent then captured the pawn on e3 first, I could place the opponent in check. And either way, if they capture, then I would capture to promote. So either way, I thought they couldn't actually stop promotion. So I pushed forward. The opponent did, in fact, capture the pawn. I advanced the rook forward. The opponent decided to move their king, which was interesting. And so here I promoted to queen. That was unexpected. And here I was at a very, very major advantage. I actually made a reasonably good move, attacking their rook, and the opponent now captures the rook. And here I had a simple winning move. I moved the king to b2 with the intention of capturing the rook on c3. But I, again, was just so distracted, feeling tired. I didn't see an obvious move and did something very, very silly, which was to move my queen instead. Opponent now blocks with the rook, and now we are at equality. And in fact, there is no particular way I can get an advantage for checkmate. And now we shuffle a few more moves. Opponent brings their bishop and now they're fully defended. And the reality is, you know, both of us at best will just be shuffling pieces. And so I offered a draw and the opponent accepted a draw. So end of the game, a draw. I think I should have won, but but I made some very significant mistakes and blunders in this game, leading to a draw. Now on to the second game. All right, so here we are in the second game, quick review. And in this game, we played the Italian, and we were both dead even until I made a pretty much a one move blunder, and that was pretty much the end of the game for me. So let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look at the analysis. With this being the second game, I played black, the opponent white. And this was a Italian guaco piano game. E4, E5, the knights develop, so very standard. Very standard development. Here, the opponent decides to bring their bishop out for an attack. I was fairly happy to take back to potentially damage their structure, though effectively we are still equal. I develop my other pawn, opponent castles, I castle, and we continue to play chess. Here I thought I had a potential attack. Opponent moves their queen out of the way. Again, still dead even. I move my queen out of that pin. Opponent develops their other knight. I move back to make an attack on the bishop. Opponent captures with their knight. I capture back again, and again, a very symmetrical, relatively symmetrical structure still. Opponent moves their knight forward. I advance a pawn. Captures. Opponent forced to retreat their bishop. And at this point, I think this is where I make. Oh no! So I haven't made the serious blunder yet. I sort of centralized my rook. It's a little bit inaccurate now already. Opponent advances their pawn, which was a good move. And yep, here's the one move blunder. I thought here I had a potential attack on the bishop. If they capture, I've got capture. So I thought things were looking okay for me. But I had forgotten that their queen had sidestepped to the E file and now had an open diagonal. So that was just a simple one move blunder. Opponent obviously saw that blunder, more than happy to capture, and pretty much that was a very, very serious error on my part. And pretty much I have lost this game because the opponent did continue to play well. We shuffle a few more moves, but my position now is pretty much completely lost. I play a few more moves, but the reality is I haven't really got anything left. So forced mate is coming soon. Here I really needed to defend that rook. Otherwise, it's never too late to get a back rank mate. However, with the rooks and the queen here, they're very powerful. And there was no real way that I could prevent a checkmate sooner rather than later. So very good game by the opponent. Silly blundered by me on the 15th move, but the opponent won the second game. So one draw, one loss. Well played by Nang Ho, the Magnus Carlson lookalike. Good game. The takeaway I had from playing against my opponent was that they were probably stronger than me in ability, and that I simply wasn't playing at my best when tired after work. In the first game where I played white, the strength of the Vienna game is well demonstrated by how I quickly dominated the position. Even with a series of errors and inaccurate play, I still had the upper hand, even though the opponent's excellent play eroded my advantage in the middle game. Unfortunately, the egregious blunder at the end saw my advantage evaporate back to equality, and we drew. In the second game, we were effectively equal in the Italian game until another silly blunder on my part saw me mindlessly hang my knight. You win some and you lose some. I hope this video helped you reflect on your own games and play, and thanks for watching.